Imagine a young girl growing up in South London, where the grey streets of Streatham offered little but endless days of struggle. Naomi Campbell, one of the legendary 90-second supermodels, was once rejected simply because her rich brown skin didn't fit the era's narrow beauty standards. At the peak of her career, with Versace's dazzling runway lights and Vogue covers celebrating her, Naomi did the unthinkable. She openly confronted the fashion industry's deep-seated racism, refusing to bow to prejudice. But before the glamour came darkness, at 15, she was turned away from castings for not being the ideal model. Those rejections didn't break her. They fueled her fire. One of the most notorious supermodel scandals, the infamous phone-throwing incident, laid bare the immense pressure on a model of color. From a fatherless child, daughter of a dancer, Naomi turned pain into power, rising to the top while challenging the system. What made her so resilient? This is a story of rebellion, perseverance, and beauty that shattered barriers. Naomi Campbell grew up in Streatham, a multicultural but challenging area in South London, where grey buildings and narrow alleys formed the backdrop of her childhood. Born in 1970, she was the daughter of Valerie Morris, a Jamaican ballet dancer, and never knew her father. The family was not well off, relying on her mother's meager earnings from performances. In their small apartment, reggae music blended with ballet rhythms, creating a unique but conflicted cultural foundation. From a young age, Naomi recognized her difference, a black girl with natural curly hair in a British society that favored white skin and rigid standards. At school, Naomi frequently faced teasing about her skin color and Jamaican roots. Remarks like, "too different," or "not British enough," from peers made her feel isolated. But in that isolation, a hidden energy began to form. Naomi wasn't shy. She had an innate stubbornness, an inner fire that her mother noticed when the girl insisted on learning dance to follow in her footsteps. At age 10, she performed in school dance shows, captivating everyone with her rare confidence. Naomi's family dealt not only with financial hardships but also cultural prejudices. Her mother, an independent yet conservative woman, worried about her daughter growing up in a world rife with racial biases. Valerie wanted Naomi to study properly and avoid the temptations of the entertainment industry, where she had seen its harshness firsthand. But Naomi was drawn to the stage lights, sneaking reads of fashion magazines in her room. She dreamed of a world where her beauty wasn't judged through the lens of skin color. Naomi's difference wasn't just in appearance. She grew up in a diverse community where Jamaican, Indian, and African immigrants created a vibrant but tense cultural tapestry. Stories of her mother's and neighbors' struggles instilled in her a strong will. Never let circumstances define you. At age 12, Naomi started odd jobs to help her mother, from assisting at markets to cleaning after ballet performances. These experiences honed her perseverance but also made her realize the world wouldn't easily open doors for a girl like her. Yet, Naomi never lost her curiosity and ambition. She often stood in front of the mirror, mimicking models' walks from magazines, practicing each step with near-obsessive precision. That hidden energy, a blend of pride, rebellion, and desire to prove herself, quietly shaped her. While other kids dreamed of ordinary jobs, Naomi dreamed of the runway, where she could turn doubting eyes into admiration. In those tough days in Streatham, the seed of one of the greatest 90-second supermodels was planted, waiting to bloom. In 1986, at age 15, Naomi Campbell was wandering through a shopping center in Covent Garden, London, when the sharp eye of a scout from elite model management spotted her. Beth Bolt, that woman, didn't just see a tall, slim black girl with natural curly hair. She recognized something special, a powerful presence, almost explosive, hidden behind bright eyes. "Kid, do you want to try modeling?" That question marked a turning point, opening a door Naomi had never dared to dream of. But that moment wasn't just opportunity. It was a whirlwind of emotions, excitement mixed with doubt, hope intertwined with fear. Naomi's first casting took place in a small studio in Soho. She stepped into the brightly lit room, where photographers and casting directors scrutinized her every move. With trembling legs, Naomi tried to imitate the walks of models from magazines she had secretly viewed. Her simple t-shirt and old jeans contrasted with the room's glamorous atmosphere. But it was that natural awkwardness that caught photographer Peter Lindbergh's attention. He told her, "Girl, you don't need to try to be someone else. Just be yourself." Naomi's first photo, a black and white portrait with a determined gaze, silenced the entire casting team. They saw the potential of one of the future 90-second supermodels, though Naomi herself hadn't realized it yet. But this journey wasn't easy. When Naomi shared the opportunity with her mother, Valerie Morris, the reaction wasn't joy but worry. As a dancer who had faced the entertainment industry's harshness, Valerie feared the fashion world would devour her only daughter. "You'll be judged, Naomi. They won't accept you because of your skin color," she warned, her voice full of bitterness. The racial prejudices she had endured now threatened her daughter's dream. Valerie wanted Naomi to continue studying and choose a safer path. But Naomi, with her burning stubborn fire, convinced her mother that this was a chance to prove her worth, not just for the family, but for the world. Society around her didn't support it either. In Streatham, where Naomi grew up, modeling was an alien concept, even seen as frivolous. Neighbors whispered behind her back, calling her dreamer or too arrogant when she talked about her first photo shoot. Some school friends even mocked, "You think you can be Christy Brinkley?" But those doubts only motivated Naomi. She didn't want to be just a black girl from South London. She wanted to be the one changing how the world viewed beauty. Inside Naomi, an internal battle raged. She was excited about entering the fashion world, where she could shine like her idols on magazine covers. But at the same time, she was afraid of rejection, of not being good enough, afraid her mother was right about insurmountable barriers. Every night she lay in bed imagining herself striding on the runway, but then jolted awake with questions. What if they don't accept me? Yet, the chaos of emotions, the mix of fear and desire, propelled her forward. That first photo shoot, though just a small start, planted the seed for a great journey. Naomi didn't know she was about to become an icon, one who shattered prejudices to define the era of 90-second supermodels. In 1988, Naomi Campbell stepped onto the Versace runway in Milan, the blinding stage lights illuminating her, highlighting her rich brown skin and powerful strides. Each step was like a declaration, as if the catwalk was built just for her to dominate. That was the moment that defined her as one of the greatest 90-second supermodels. The pounding disco music, the thunderous applause from the audience, and the astonished eyes of designers transformed Naomi from a doubted girl into the queen of the runway. At 18, she became an indispensable face in campaigns for Chanel, Yves Saint Laurent, and Dolce Gabbana, where her beauty shattered all standards. The name Naomi Campbell quickly became synonymous with boldness. She appeared on the cover of British Vogue in 1987, becoming the first black model to do so, a milestone that forced the entire fashion industry to reflect. Shooting with legendary photographer Steven Meisel, she turned every frame into a work of art. Meisel once remarked, "Naomi isn't just a model, she's a phenomenon. That gaze, that walk, no one can copy." Her catwalk style was a blend of a warrior's strength and a dancer's grace, as if she were telling a story with every step. Critics called her the Black Panther of the runway, a nickname honoring her fluidity and innate allure. Naomi's special relationships with major designers solidified her status. Azzedine Alaïa, whom she called Papa, saw her as his muse, designing form-fitting outfits that accentuated her perfect figure. Gianni Versace, captivated by Naomi's explosive energy, often had her open or close his shows. "She doesn't walk, she glides," Versace once said, and those praises spread throughout the fashion world. Naomi also became close friends with icons like Christy Turlington and Linda Evangelista, forming the power trio that dominated the 90-second. They appeared together in George Michael's Freedom 2090 video, a cultural milestone that turned supermodels into global stars. But what truly set Naomi apart was her unmistakable presence. She wasn't just a model, she was a symbol of challenge. In an industry that favored uniformity, Naomi brought diversity, not just through skin color, but through her intense personality. She refused to be confined to the silent model mold. During a Dolce and Gabbana photo shoot, when a stylist tried to tone down her style to make her look gentler, Naomi bluntly replied, "This is me. Shoot it or don't." That confidence, sometimes mistaken for arrogance, was her unique asset. Naomi's advertising campaigns weren't just images, they were statements. From Chanel perfume ads to Sports Illustrated swimsuit campaigns, she turned every moment into an affirmation that beauty has no boundaries. Audiences were captivated not only by her looks but by the story behind, a girl from South London who conquered the world. At her peak, Naomi wasn't just a model, she was a symbol of change, a pioneer paving the way for future generations. But that glamour came with pressure, and ahead were challenges even a star like her couldn't foresee. Naomi Campbell isn't just one of the 90-second supermodels. She's an icon, a pioneer daring to break the invisible barriers of the fashion industry. What sets her apart isn't just her beauty or powerful catwalk style, but her fierce personality and bold decisions that shaped her path. In a glamorous yet harsh fashion world, Naomi didn't hesitate to say no to anything that went against her values, even if it meant losing golden opportunities. One memorable moment was when Naomi rejected a major advertising contract from a famous brand in the early 92nd. The brand wanted her in a campaign, but required her to lighten her skin through photo editing to suit the European market. Naomi, with burning pride, flatly refused. "If you don't want me as I am, I don't need this contract." That decision shocked the industry, where models rarely challenged brand demands. But for Naomi, it wasn't just personal, it was a fight for recognition of Black beauty. "I'm not here to be anyone's backdrop," she once said in a Vogue interview, a quote that became a symbol of her confidence. Naomi also faced plenty of rejections. Despite her resounding success, she was still turned away by some designers because of her skin color, or because they thought she was too strong to fit their gentle image. Once, at a casting in Paris, a creative director bluntly told her, "We don't need Black models for this show." Instead of letting those words defeat her, Naomi turned the pain into motivation. She worked harder, appearing in campaigns for designers like Azzedine Alaïa and Yves Saint Laurent, who appreciated her uniqueness. "They don't want me? Fine, I'll make them regret it," she once shared in a Guardian interview, showing her unyielding spirit. Naomi's difference also lay in how she used her status to fight for diversity. In the 92nd, when the fashion industry was still dominated by Western beauty standards, Naomi, along with colleagues like Iman and Beverly Johnson, spoke out for fairness. She joined campaigns promoting the presence of Black models on runways and magazine covers. "If I don't stand up, who will do it for girls like me?" she once asked in a speech at a fashion event. That courage not only made her beloved, but also changed how the industry viewed beauty. But Naomi's path wasn't without controversy. Some called her difficult or arrogant because she didn't hesitate to express her opinions. The supermodel scandals related to her fiery temper, though not detailed here, began appearing in articles at the time, highlighting the pressure a model like her endured. However, her steadfastness in living true to herself made Naomi an icon. She's not just a face on a magazine cover, she's the embodiment of resilience, one who dares to stand up for herself and those marginalized. Naomi Campbell proved that a supermodel doesn't just sell images, she sells an idea, that true beauty is difference embraced. In 2006, the glamour of Naomi Campbell, one of the 90-second supermodels, seemed overshadowed by a media storm. An event that shook her image, the phone, throwing incident at her assistant in a fit of rage at her New York apartment. This wasn't just a moment of loss of control, it was a free fall, pulling Naomi from the heights of fame to the center of one of the most notorious supermodel scandals. News spread like wildfire, headlines screaming, "Supermodel Naomi Campbell charged with assault." The New York Post, 2006. The public, who once admired her as a symbol of resilience, now split. One side condemned her for violent behavior, the other saw it as a consequence of the relentless pressure on a black star. This incident wasn't just a simple scandal, it exposed the dark corners of Naomi's life. At the peak of her career, she faced grueling schedules, flying across 3 continents in a week, constantly on runways, photo shoots, and interviews. But behind the flashbulbs was a Naomi battling inner demons. She later shared on Instagram, "I'm not perfect. I've had to learn to face pressure and my mistakes." The pressure of constantly proving herself in an industry still rife with racial prejudices exhausted her. The phone throwing, though inexcusable, was a moment when stress exploded, revealing a more vulnerable Naomi than ever. The public reacted fiercely. Some fans turned away, calling her arrogant or uncontrollable. Others, especially the Black community, saw a bigger story, a woman who had to fight twice as hard to hold her position. However, what was more concerning was the silence from some colleagues and designers who once praised her. Those who called her muse, like Azadine Alieh or Versace, now kept their distance, leaving Naomi to face the storm alone. The press exploited it relentlessly, from tabloid articles to analyses in The Guardian, where a journalist noted, "Naomi isn't just a supermodel, she's a symbol of survival in an unforgiving world." The consequences lingered. Naomi was sentenced to community service, scrubbing floors at a New York warehouse in a work uniform, under the lenses of dozens of reporters. That image, a supermodel who once strode Chanel runways now holding a broom, became a symbol of downfall. But even then, Naomi didn't bow her head. She completed the sentence with pride, even turning her last community service day into a fashion event, appearing in a glittering Dolce & Gabbana dress. "I won't let them define me by this mistake," she told the press as she left the courthouse. This event led Naomi to temporarily withdraw from the spotlight. She took time to reflect, attended therapy sessions, and sought balance. But her disappearance wasn't the end. It was a phase of transformation, where Naomi learned to confront her weaknesses and prepare for a stronger comeback. The scandal, though painful, highlighted a truth. Naomi Campbell isn't just a star, she's a human, with scars and strength, fighting to hold her ground in a harsh world. Naomi Campbell, one of the legendary 90-second supermodels, isn't just a face on the runway, she's the fire that changed how the world views beauty. From days rejected for her skin color to becoming the first Black model on British Vogue's cover, Naomi paved the way for diversity in fashion. She forced designers, magazines, and audiences to confront prejudices, laying the foundation for models like Adut Akich or Winnie Harlow. "I don't fight just for myself, but for girls without a voice," she once said in a CNN interview, a quote etched into fans' minds. But Naomi's legacy isn't just victories. The supermodel scandals, the falls and resilient rises, made her a symbol of complexity, a human both strong and vulnerable. She left a more open fashion industry, but one still full of challenges. Perhaps she was never fully forgiven for her mistakes, but does that matter? Naomi doesn't need everyone's approval. She needs honesty with herself. If she started this journey today, would the world be ready to welcome her, an ambitious Black girl from South London, or would barriers still arise? Perhaps she was never forgotten. Perhaps we just paused in remembering her.